Captain Ryan Hart slid into his pilot's chair just before the shift change. The hum of the engines was a familiar comfort, steady and predictable. He glanced at the viewport, where distant stars stretched into lines of silver light as the Valor slipped through hyperspace. Duty called him on long patrols through uncharted sectors. But Ryan never grew bored of the view. He checked the console readings and reached for his data pad, then froze. In the soft glow of the console lights stood a figure he had never expected. A young alien woman filled the small room. She was tall and slender, with pale lavender skin that caught the light like smooth marble. Her dark hair fell in gentle waves around her shoulders, and her eyes were wide with both wonder and a hint of fear. She wore simple clothing of soft fabric, patterned with tiny symbols that Ryan didn't recognize. She was clearly out of place. Someone had breached security, and she was in his most private space. Ryan's first instinct was to hit the alarm button. His training shouted that any intruder was dangerous, but before his finger could move, the alien woman lifted a delicate hand. She spoke in a soft voice, the words twisted and formal. But he caught, "I am sorry, and I did not know." She sounded sincere. Ryan lowered his hand, confused by her calm manner. He pressed a button to open the small comm channel. "Status report," he said, voice firm. But his eyes stayed on her. The voice of Lieutenant Marlowe came through the comm. "Captain, we have an unidentified intruder in your cabin. Authorizing security lockdown in 5 seconds." Ryan glanced at the door, already half closing an automated seal. He stepped forward and called softly, "Wait." The door halted. The alien woman turned to him, relief mixing with confusion in her expression. She spoke again, adding a few broken common words, "Help" and "Please." The single word shook something inside him. She did not look like a threat. He gestured for her to stay put and keyed his comm. "Security team, stand down. I have the situation under control." The channel went silent. The shudder of the ship's engines filled the pause. Ryan motioned to the empty seat across from him. "Sit," he said. She hesitated but obeyed. She perched on the edge, hands folded in her lap. Her poise was graceful, and she seemed to study the room, as if it was a museum. Ryan took a cautious step back and glanced at his datapad. He pulled up the ship's security logs. The path showed a maintenance duct near the engine room, a service corridor, and then a side corridor leading to his cabin. She must have followed a drone or a service signal. Ryan leaned forward and asked, "How did you get here?" She closed her eyes, searching for words. When she spoke, her voice wavered slightly. "I chased a small droid. It glowed green. I thought it was lost." Ryan frowned. The ship's drones did not glow. Something was wrong. The alien woman opened her eyes. They were large and dark, luminous with careful honesty. "I am Sira," she said. "I come from the far side of the nebula." She explained that her people were explorers, scientists who studied ancient artifacts left by vanished civilizations. She held in her hand a small, metal shard engraved with swirls of symbols. Ryan leaned closer. The shard looked like nothing he had ever seen. The symbols pulsed with a faint light, and he felt a strange warmth in his chest. Security alarms sounded suddenly in the hall outside. Ryan stood. Sira looked at him, worry crossing her face. "They will lock you out," he said. She nodded. Silent, Ryan reached inside his pocket and lifted a compact magnetic key, his cabin override. He pressed it against the door panel. The seal hissed and the door slid open. The corridor was empty and quiet. A red light blinked above the door, signaling the security lockdown. He held the door open with one hand and turned to her. "Come on," he said. She rose gracefully and followed him. They slipped into the corridor. Ryan keyed the override again to keep the seal open. He led Sira down the hallway toward the crew deck. Questions filled his mind. Why had she entered his room? What did the shard mean? And why did he feel a strange obligation to protect her when orders said he should hand her over immediately? As they walked, Ryan realized this was no random breach. The shard she carried might be more valuable than any data the Valor held. And Sira, though an intruder, seemed less dangerous than the secret she guarded. Beyond the metallic walls and flashing lights, A new story was unfolding, one that would test Ryan's duty, his courage, and the fragile trust between human and alien. The corridor lights glowed as Ryan guided Sierra toward the security office. His heart pounded with each step. He had overruled his own orders to call security, and now he worried about the consequences. Sierra walked beside him, head slightly bowed, clutching the metal shard close to her chest. The hush of the passage felt heavy, as if the ship itself watched their every move. When they reached the security bulkhead, Ryan held up his magnetic key. The panel beeped, and the door slid open. Inside, Lieutenant Jess Marlowe looked up from a console. She was tall and firm, her uniform crisp. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight knot. Surprise flickered on her face when she saw the alien woman at Ryan's side. "Captain," Jess said, voice low but clear, "did you override the lockdown?" Her eyes narrowed on Sierra. Ryan nodded and motioned for Jess to calm down. "I did. This is Sierra. She's not a threat." He kept his tone steady, though his mind raced. He knew he risked a reprimand, but something in Sierra's gentle eyes made him act without thinking. Jess stepped forward, scanning Sierra with a hand scanner. The device hummed and showed no signs of weapons. She glanced at Ryan, then back at Sierra. "What happened in your quarters?" Jess asked. Ryan explained swiftly. Sierra had followed a maintenance drone, entered the wrong corridor, and found her way into his cabin. She meant no harm. He insisted. Sierra shifted her weight and spoke softly. Her comment was broken, but her meaning was clear. "I am sorry," she said, voice full of regret. "I did not know this place was private. I only wanted the drone." She opened her palm to show the shard. The small piece of metal glowed faintly, the symbols dancing across its surface. Jess's eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" Jess asked. Sierra's hand trembled as she held out the shard. "From my ship," she answered. "I study lost artifacts. This shard called to me." She looked down, then back at Ryan. "I fear it is dangerous in wrong hands." Her words were simple, but the weight behind them made Ryan's chest tightened. Jess picked up the shard carefully with a padded tool, examining it. She frowned at the glyphs. "This is an authorized tech," she said, tone firm. "I've never seen writing like this. It could be a security risk." Ryan stepped between them. "If you lock it away, she cannot learn from it. I propose we keep her under watch and study the shard together." He kept his voice calm, though inside he felt a surge of protectiveness for Sierra. Jess studied Ryan for a moment, then looked back at Sierra. Sierra shifted her feet and met Jess's gaze. "You can trust me," she said. Her comment was slow but sincere. "I only want to unlock its meaning." She reached out, but Jess held up a hand to stop her. "We will guard it," Jess said, "and you will stay here until we know its purpose." She placed the shard in a secure container. Ryan let out a silent breath. "Thank you," he said quietly to Jess. She nodded curtly. Jess tapped her comm badge. Security logs. Reset the override. No further entries without clearance. The door seal hissed shut behind them, and Ryan and Sierra were enclosed in the small security bay with Jess. Jess retrieved the data pads. She handed one to Ryan and the other to Sierra. "Fill this out," she said to Sierra, pointing at the fields for name, origin, and purpose. Sierra picked up the pad with slender fingers. Ryan knelt beside her and gently guided her hand. Though the bay was official and cold, Ryan's kindness gave Sierra a spark of hope. As Sierra wrote, Jess monitored the main console. Ryan watched the readouts for any sign of trouble. Far away in the ship's core, the stray maintenance drone drifted on its own course. He wondered if someone had hacked it. If so, why? And why did that drone lead Sierra to him? Moments passed like ours. Sierra completed the form and handed it back. Jess scanned her entry. "Approved," Jess said. "But you remain under observation." Sierra nodded, eyes downcast. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "It will be okay," he whispered. She looked at him and managed a small, grateful smile. Jess opened the door. The base sensors hummed off. Outside, the corridor was quiet once more. Ryan helped Sierra to her feet. Together, the three of them stepped out. Jess led the way to a small holding room down the hall. It had a bench, a soft light, and a viewport looking into the ship's maintenance tunnels. It was secure, but not hostile. Inside, Ryan offered Sierra a cup of water. She accepted it with both hands and drank slowly, just stood by the door, arms folded. Ryan watched Sierra, wondering what she thought of this strange new world. She sipped her water, then placed the cup gently on a low table. She touched the shard's secure container and whispered, "Thank you." Ryan nodded, heart warm with relief. Though she was not human, Sierra had found an unlikely ally in him. The shard might be powerful, and the ship was full of secrets. But for now they had a fragile peace beyond the holding room's door. The Valor continued its journey through the stars. Inside, an alien woman and a human captain began a bond that could change their worlds forever. Ryan sat beside Sierra in the small holding room, watching the pale light shift on her lavender skin. Lieutenant Jess Marlowe stood by the viewport, arms crossed, scanning the empty maintenance tunnels. The ship hummed outside. Unaware of the quiet tension inside. After a few tense minutes, Jess tapped her comm badge. "Security logs show something odd," she said. "The maintenance drone you chased, Sierra, it made 2 stops before your cabin. First near the engine core, then near the crew mess." She frowned. "That is not normal patrol behavior." Sierra's dark eyes widened. She held the shard close. "I followed it from the core," she said. "I saw it drift past a locked panel. I hoped it would lead me to someone who could help." Her broken comment carried a hint of fear. Ryan leaned forward. "We need to see the footage," he said. Jess nodded and led them back into the corridor. She cleared the override on the security bay and opened the door. Together, they walked to the nearby monitoring room. The halls were quiet, but Ryan felt the weight of unseen eyes watching them. Inside the monitoring room, a bank of holo screens flickered. Jess entered code, and the footage rewound to the engine deck. The drone glowed green as it drifted past maintenance spots. Then it paused at a sealed hatch. A figure in plain uniform reached out and tapped the drone's side. The drone spun, changed course, and headed toward Ryan's cabin. Ryan watched, heart pounding. "Who's that?" he asked. The figure wore no rank insignia, just plain gray. Just zoomed in, but the face was hidden by a low hood. The figure adjusted a small handheld device, and the drone's light pulsed brighter. Sierra gasped. "That is not from my ship," she said. "Someone forced the drone to guide me here." She looked at Ryan. "They wanted me to find you." Ryan felt a chill. "Why?" he whispered. Sierra shook her head. "I do not know, but this shard is important. I felt its power in my hand." She touched the metal gently. The glyphs glowed faintly in the dim room. Jess frowned. "We have to protect both of you," she said firmly. She tapped her comm. "Security team, stand by. No one enters or leaves this deck without clearance." The holo screens blinked, and external doors locked. Outside, the corridor lights dimmed. For a power check, the group looked at each other. Ryan rose and paced. "We need to move the shard and Sierra to a safer place," he said. "The bridge archive might be secure." Jess nodded. "But we must keep the artifact hidden until we know the threat." Sierra stood slowly. "I trust you, Captain," she said. "But I must study the shard's language soon. My people's archive may hold the key." She paused. "I came to find the truth of this universe. I never thought it would bring danger." Ryan offered his hand. "We will keep you safe," he promised. Jess handed Sierra a datapad. "Fill in your mission details," she said. Sierra wrote carefully. "I seek knowledge. I bring an artifact." She looked up. "I will help translate. Together, we can stop whoever sent that drone." With that decision made, Ryan led the way down a side corridor toward the bridge. Jess followed, holo shield ready. Sierra walked between them, shard secure in a padded case. As they passed the engine room, Ryan felt the heat of the core through the wall. He wondered if the pilot's instinct would be enough to face this new enemy. Unknown to them, in the shadows of the maintenance bay, the hooded figure watched the holo feed on a handheld screen. A soft beep signaled a message. "They know too much. Prepare Plan B." The figure slipped away into the darkness, leaving the corridor empty and the threat still unseen. Above them, Hyperspace carried the Valor toward the next star system. Inside, a human and an alien prepared to stand together against a secret enemy. Their fragile bond, their only hope. The bridge hummed with quiet activity as Captain Reinhardt, Lieutenant Jess Marlowe, and Sierra stepped inside. Ryan felt the familiar vibration beneath his boots, but this time his mind raced with thoughts of the shard. He led Sierra to a small alcove beside the data terminal. The alcove's walls were lined with soft padding and improvised safe zone. Sierra placed the padded case on the ledge and opened it. The metal shard lay nestled inside. Its glyphs pulsed faintly in the dim light, as if breathing. Just tapped commands on the terminal. "I'm uploading a copy of the shard's image to secure storage," she said. "But the real artifact stays here with us." She glanced at Sierra. "You'll stay under guard until we know who sent that drone?" Sierra nodded, her dark eyes steady. She unwrapped a small claw from her bag and carefully laid it beneath the shard. With each fold, she showed respect for the artifact's power. Ryan watched Sierra work. He noted how her slender fingers moved with ease and reverence. He felt admiration in his chest. She spoke in her soft common. "On my world, these shards are keys to ancient gates. They open doors between stars." She paused. "I feared to bring this here, but I had no choice." Ryan offered a quiet smile. "We'll find a way to keep you and the shard safe," he promised. Suddenly, the bridge alarms chimed, red lights flickered. Jess frowned and raced back to the console. Ryan and Sierra exchanged worried glances. "What now?" Sierra asked. Jess tapped rapidly. "Sensor sweep shows an unauthorized boarding pod docked to Cargo Bay 3. Her voice was tense. "Someone is trying to breach the ship." Ryan's jaw tightened. He turned to Sierra. "Stay here," he ordered. But Sierra shook her head. "I will help," she said firmly, "if they want the shard." "They will come for me." Ryan hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but we go together." He signaled security on his comm. "All hands to Cargo Bay 3. Leave no entrance unchecked." The hum of footsteps followed as crew members mobilized. They raced down the corridor, lights flushing past. Sierra clutched the padded case against her chest. The shard's glow pulsed faster, as if sensing danger. At the junction before Cargo Bay 3, Ryan cut the override for the external door. The seal hissed open. Inside, cargo crates floated in zero gravity. The pod's airlock hung open like a dark mouth. Shadows shifted among the crates. Ryan drew his stun baton. Just readied her sidearm. Sierra watched, silent. Then a shape lunged from behind a crate. Ryan spun and struck it, connected with a dull thud. The figure crumpled, unconscious, but unharmed. Two more figures emerged in gray uniforms, their masks obscuring their faces. Sierra took a breath and stepped forward. "Stop," she cried. Her voice echoed in the bay. The intruders hesitated. One raised a stun rifle. Ryan stepped between Sierra and the rifle's barrel. "Leave her out of this," he said. "We want the shard only." The intruder flicked a selector. Ryan's resolve hardened. He raised the baton. Jess leveled her sidearm. They formed a loose circle around Sierra. The lead intruder spoke in clipped tones. "Stand down, Captain." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "I'm not your captain," he replied. "I am captain of the Valor." The intruder's partner moved toward the shard case. Ryan lunged forward, knocking the hand away. Sparks flew as metal struck metal. Sierra cried out and dropped the case. The shard tumbled across the deck. Time slowed. The shard's light blazed. A shockwave rippled through the zero-G bay. Crates spun. Tools scattered. Ryan shielded Sierra. Just grabbed her, pulling her behind a support beam. When the light dimmed, the intruders lay stunned. Their rifles no longer charged. The shard rested at the center. Its glyphs dim once more. Silence fell. The crew arrived through the other entrance. Ryan and Jess released Sierra. She sank to her knees and picked up the shard. It felt warm in her hand. She closed her eyes. "It protected me," she whispered. Ryan extended a hand. "We're okay," he said softly. Jess checked the intruders with her scanner. "They're alive but out cold. No permanent harm." Sierra stood and wrapped the shard in its cloth. She looked at Ryan and Jess, gratitude shining in her wide eyes. "Thank you," she said. I know this is not your fight, but you saved me. Ryan nodded, heart full. We share this fight, he replied. As they left Cargo Bay 3. The shard secure once more, Ryan felt a bond deepen. The alien woman who first startled him in his cabin had faced danger at his side. Together, they had seen the artifact's power and survived, beyond the bay door. The Valor continued its journey among the stars, its new heroes ready for whatever came next. The Valor's medical bay was quiet as Sierra sat on a narrow bed, the padded case with the shard resting on a nearby table. Ryan and Jess stood by a holo screen, reviewing the bay's security logs. The attack had left both crew and intruders shaken, but the shard had protected them all. Sierra's breathing was calm, though her eyes shone with worry. You did well, Ryan told her softly. He offered a clean cloth. Sierra took it and wiped a stray drop of sweat from her brow. Thank you, she replied in broken Common. She folded the cloth carefully round the shard. Its power saved us, but I do not know why it chose to protect. Jess tapped the holo screen. I'm tracing the signal from that boarding pod, she said. It came from a small ship in nearby orbit. No official registry. Her brow furrowed. It was here to steal this shard, not you. Sierra's gaze dropped. Then they know its value, she whispered. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. We will keep it safe. After the logs review, Ryan led Sierra and Jess to the ship's archive deck. The hallway lights were dimmer here, lined with the history of human exploration. Ryan used his captain's key to open the archive door. Inside, rows of data terminals and storage vaults stood silent. A soft hum of cooling systems was the only sound. Sierra approached the terminal. Her slender fingers hovered over the console. Before she could type, Jess spoke. We need to secure the shard first, Jess said. She carried the padded case. Ryan took it from her. We put it in the containment vault, he said. He led the way to a reinforced chamber at the far end of the room. Inside the vault, shelves of rare artifacts glowed under soft lights. Ryan placed the case in a transparent box and activated the seal. A soft click marked the lock. The vault's walls hummed as the automatic field powered up. Sierra watched, her eyes reflecting the cool glow. It cannot harm anyone here, Ryan said, and no one can take it. Outside the vault, Jess let out a breath. We're safe for now, she said, but we still need answers. Sierra nodded. My people had archives on planet Erythia, she explained. They recorded the language of these glyphs. I must go there. Ryan frowned. We will set course. He promised. You will have a safe escort. The three of them left the archive deck. Ryan paused in the corridor. We should alert Admiral Tyler, he said. This is beyond our authority. Jess shook her head. Not yet. She tapped her comm. Keep it between us until we know more. Ryan hesitated, then agreed. Sierra watched them, hope and fear mixed in her gaze. That night, Ryan returned to his quarters. He sat at his desk, the holo screen showing a 3D model of the shard. He studied its swirls and angles. Each glyph seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat. He traced one symbol with a fingertip. A memory flickered in his mind, a distant dream of a hidden door. In the ship's lower decks, he stood and activated the ship's map. He plotted a course to Erythia. The planet lay on the edge of human space. In a system known for peaceful research stations, he set the autopilot. Hyperspace jump would be in 6 hours. He glanced at his uniform in the mirror. He felt the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. In the holding room, Sierra lay on a cot, resting. Jess sat nearby, reading a manual on alien languages. She frowned at the diagrams. This is beyond me, she said quietly. Sierra sat up. I can teach you, she offered. Jess looked at her, surprised. You will? She asked. Sierra nodded. Together, we learn faster. The next morning, the Valor emerged from hyperspace above Erythia. Cool blue clouds swirled around a green landmass. Ryan stood on the bridge, watching. Jess and Sierra joined him at the viewport. Sierra smiled faintly. Home, she whispered. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. We made it, he said. As the planet's research station came into view, Sierra's heart quickened. She felt hope that the archives would reveal the shard's secrets. Ryan looked at her and nodded. We face this together, he said. Sira returned his nod, gratitude shining in her eyes. Below them, the Valor descended toward the station's landing bay, ready to unlock the mystery that had changed their lives. The research station on Rithia was bright and quiet when the Valor docked. Ryan, Jess, and Sira stepped into the gleaming corridor. Soft lights arched overhead and data conduits ran along the walls. Science officers paused in their work to glance at the new arrivals. Sira's heart pounded with excitement. She led them toward the central archive chamber, carrying the sealed case with the shard. Inside the archive chamber, rows of holoshelves displayed ancient texts and star charts. An archivist in a white robe greeted them. She had kind eyes and spoke Sira's language fluently. "Welcome back," the archivist said softly. "We have been ready for your return." Sira bowed her head and presented the shard. The archivist's face grew solemn. She gestured for them to follow to a circular reading table. The table's surface lit up as the shard was unwrapped and placed in its center. Holo projections of glyphs floated above the table, rotating slowly. The archivist pressed a series of symbols on a nearby console. The projections rearranged into lines of text in common. Jess watched in amazement. She had studied alien languages, but never seen a translation this swift. The archivist read aloud. "This shard is one of 7 keys created by an ancient civilization, called the Architects. They use these keys to activate gateways between worlds. The gateways open doors in space itself." She paused. "Without all 7 keys, a gateway can be unstable. It may appear, but not remain open." Sira's eyes widened. She touched the shard gently. The pulsing light seemed to answer her touch. Ryan leaned in. "So the shard we have is part of a larger network," he said. "That explains why someone would risk so much to steal it." Jess nodded. "And why the shard protected Sira. It knows its purpose." The archivist tapped another command. A star map appeared, showing 7 star systems marked with glyph symbols. These systems each hold a key. Your mission is to gather them before they fall into wrong hands. Sira turned to Ryan. "My people must recover the other shards. They will help restore balance." Ryan placed a hand on her arm. "We will help you. The Valor will sail wherever we must." Jess nodded. "Security will accompany you." They agreed to set course for the nearest key location, a world called Havras, while they planned. A sudden alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed. Station officers moved quickly into defense positions. Ryan frowned. "What is it?" he asked the archivist. She shook her head. "Unauthorized vessel approaching. No transponder. Likely the same group that attacked your ship." Sira's face went pale. "They came here." Jess tapped her comm. "We must leave at once." Ryan helped Sira secure the shard in her pack. The archivist handed Sira a small data crystal containing the translation and the star map. "This will guide you," she said. "May it serve you well." Sira nodded, clutching the crystal close. They hurried back to the Valor's dock. The docking bay doors opened to reveal a sleek black ship gliding into position. Crew members raised energy shields along the bay walls. Ryan led his team aboard the Valor. Jess sealed the airlock behind them. Sira set the data crystal into a console slot. The map loaded on the bridge display. Outside the viewport, the enemy ship drifted in silent menace. Ryan engaged the Valor's thrusters, and the ship slipped out of the station's hangar. Just locked down the docking clamps. The bay doors closed with a hiss. Alarms still echoed, but faded as the Valor pulled away. Once in space, Ryan steered toward the haven of hyperspace. "Lanes." He set coordinates for Havras, the nearest key world. Sira stood beside him, watching the star field stretch into lines of light. She fingered the pack where the shard lay safe. "Thank you," she said softly to Ryan and Jess. "Without you, I would have failed." Jess offered a rare smile. "We promised," she said. "We stand by our word." The trio shared a moment of calm as the Valor accelerated into hyperspace. Beyond the hull, the distant research station faded from view, and behind them the enemy ship emerged into the empty void, engines flaring. Ahead lay new worlds and hidden dangers, and the race to gather the remaining shards had only just begun. Captain Ryan Hart stood on the bridge. Just as the Valor dropped out of hyperspace near Havras, the new world glowed with soft blue clouds and pale green land beneath. Sierra stood beside him. Clutching the data crystal that guided them, Lieutenant Jess Marlowe remained at her station, her eyes sharp for any sign of pursuit. The silence between them was full of anticipation. "We're close," Sierra said, voice low but steady. She pointed to the holo map. A small icon marked the ancient ruins where the next shard lay hidden. Ryan nodded and engaged the landing thrusters. The Valor glided down through the atmosphere, metal plates humming under the strain of friction. Below, jagged spires of stone rose from misty fields as the ship settled in a rocky clearing. Ryan activated the ramps. The crew suited up and prepared for away teams. Sarah adjusted her pack. The sealed shard case secure at her back, just checked. Her scanner and weapons packed non-lethal tools, but enough to deter any local wildlife or unwelcome visitors. They stepped onto the surface, boots crunching on gravel mixed with strange blue crystals. The air was cool and smelled faintly of ozone. Ryan led them toward the ruins' ancient pillars half buried in moss and vines. Each pillar bore familiar swirling glyphs. Sarah's eyes lit up as she recognized the symbols from the shard. "This way," she said, tracing a line of glyphs that formed an arrow. They followed into a narrow corridor between two stone walls. The passage wound toward darkness. Ryan held his hand out and just switched on a portable light. The beam cut through dust and revealed walls covered in more symbols, and reliefs of travelers stepping through glowing doorways. At the end of the corridor stood a massive door carved from black stone. At its center was a shallow recess shaped like the shard they carried. Sarah approached the door. Heart thundering, she lifted the shard case and fitted the shard into the recess. It slid in smoothly, clicking into place. The glyphs on the door pulsed faintly, matching the shard's glow. "Stand back," Ryan warned. Just stepped aside as the door rumbled. Cracks spread across its surface, and then it slid open, revealing a chamber lit by natural light from a crack in the ceiling. Stone steps led down into darkness, and in the center of the chamber lay a pedestal shaped like a star. Sarah descended the steps carefully, her eyes on the pedestal. She placed the case on its surface and opened it. The shard rose from the cloth, held aloft by unseen energy. The glyphs along the walls brightened, and a soft hum filled the chamber. The pedestal rotated, aligning itself with the door shaft, and a beam of light shone down upon it. "This is the gateway control," Sarah whispered. She studied the glyphs carved on the pedestal. "If I can read these correctly, I must activate 3 more keys in sequence to open the portal fully." Ryan looked at her. "We'll find the other keys," he said. "But first, let's secure this one." He gestured to Jess, who attached a locking clamp to the case. Suddenly, the beam of light intensified. The stone floor vibrated, and dust fell from the ceiling. Sarah's eyes widened. "We did it," she said with awe. "The gateway is almost ready." The chamber walls shifted, revealing hidden alcoves. Each alcove contained a small basin, one for each key. The shard's glow guided their eyes to the nearest basin. "We'll come back," Ryan said gently. "For now, we must leave before we draw attention." Jess began removing the clamp. Ryan nodded, and they retreated up the steps. Sarah took one last look at the pedestal, feeling both joy and sorrow. The shard belonged here, but they needed it safe until they collected all 7. They stepped into the corridor just as a low roar echoed behind them. Ryan's comm crackled. "Enemy ship closing," Jess reported. "They found our signature." Ryan quickened his pace back to the clearing. Sarah slipped the shard case into her pack. The ruin shook as if the planet itself were alive. At the landing site, the Valor's engine spun up. Ryan shouted, bored quickly. The away team sprinted across the clearing. Jess held the scanner high, eyes scanning the distant hills. Sarah felt a quake beneath her feet and stumbled. Ryan caught her arm. "We have to go now," he urged. They piled into the ship just as the valley behind them lit up with energy blasts. The Valor's ramp sealed, and the ship lifted off. Ryan banked sharply, avoiding falling rocks. Inside, alarms rang as the enemy vessel appeared over the ridge, weapons charging. "Prepare for jump," Ryan ordered. Jess set the coordinates for the next shard world. Sarah clutched the data crystal and whispered a silent thanks to the architects. The Valor surged forward, leaving Havris's ruins behind in hyperspace. The team caught their breath. Ryan looked at Sarah. "You did well," he said simply. Sarah smiled, her relief shining. Jess relaxed her shoulders. The shard was safe, and they had unlocked a gateway, if only briefly. Together, they had faced danger, ancient doors, and a hidden enemy. Ahead lay 3 more worlds, 3 more shards, and the destiny of their alliance.